My chapter in China Changes Everything is entitled Should the Renminbi Replace the Dollar? The surprising answer. What I'm arguing in this chapter is that, there's a lot of discussion going on these days about how there is de-dollarization going on, that soon, imminently, the dollar will lose its position as the major currency of the world. And so on. And in much of this discussion, the assumption is made that, that discussion is correct, by the way. I agree that the dollar will soon be replaced. It's never been fit for purpose. That's been my argument in my book, Geopolitical Economy. But what I'm doing in this chapter is I'm taking that argument a step further. There is the boosters of the dollar system typically argue that the dollar will continue for a long time to come, perhaps forever, because there is no alternative in place. The renminbi is not being internationalized in the way the dollar has been internationalized, nor has the euro been, nor has the Japanese yen been, and so on. So the idea generally is that, the dollar will continue. Of course, they are wrong about it because the dollar system has many internal contradictions, and that's going to make it collapse very soon. But that is not going to lead to the replacement of the dollar with the renminbi. On the assumption that, the general storyline goes that, at one point, sterling was the world's major currency. Sterling was the currency of the most powerful country in the world. And then it was replaced by the dollar because the dollar was now the currency of the most powerful country in the world. So everybody who is in favor of China, who regards China's development with admiration, as I do, then a lot of these people tend to think that clearly the renminbi should replace the dollar. But there lies the rub. In reality, if the renminbi were to be internationalized, as the dollar has been internationalized, it would require a financial system of the same sort as the dollar has, as the United States has, a financial system that has not been geared towards a productive investment. It has been geared towards speculation and predatory lending. And were China to have a financial system which was which was like that, then all the miraculous growth and development of China would be wiped out, just as the United States has been deindustrializing through the entire period since the 1970s when this system came into being. As this would also be the fate that is suffered by China. And I argue further that people don't realize this, but there have historically been two quite different models of finance. One model is based on speculation and predatory lending, which is the model that the United Kingdom once had, that the United States now has, but which China and every other a country that has sustained industrial success, at least until recently, like Japan and Germany, they have had historically, at least in the period of their industrial success. And China still today has a very different type of financial system. That financial system is not based on speculation and predatory lending, short-term lending, and so on. It is based on long-term lending for productive investment, lending that is often called in the literature patient capital. And in order to preserve this, China has never internationalized its renminbi in the same way. So I would suggest that the replacement for the dollar system will have to be either a very limited internationalization of currencies such as the renminbi, but alongside other currencies, because the renminbi could not play the same role as the dollar has, which has cost the United States so much. It will play a very different role. And so either you will have a multi-currency internationalization of, productively stable and dynamic countries like China, if there are any, or there will have to be something resembling what Keynes proposed at Bretton Woods. a currency which is not the currency of any one country, a multilaterally agreed currency like Keynes's Bancor, run by a multilaterally established international institution, which in Keynes's case was the International Clearing Union that he had proposed. And it would issue currencies that you and I would not use in our daily transactions, to buy an ice cream or a cup of coffee or a pair of shoes. It would simply be used by central banks in order to settle their mutual imbalances. And this type of system would actually also be much better than the dollar system has been. It would allow countries to grow, whereas the dollar system has often strangulated growth in many countries. It would create more equal societies because the dollar system has massively contributed to inequality. It would create more productive societies. It would create societies that can develop and expand their productive capacities. So this is my argument. I hope very much you'll read the chapter